We're back in the Fox 61 by Carrier Kitchen, and joining us this morning is Michelle Nicholson. She is the founder and the baker at Flour Gilr Bakery and Flour Gilr Cafe. And I love your story. We were talking just a few minutes ago. You have an incredible story. All right, so the big news here is you are going to the World Bread Baking Competition in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And you were asked to go just, what, like a few days ago?
Yeah, it's been in the last couple weeks that we've been planning on this adventure out to Las Vegas with the bread in tow.
But the incredible thing is she only started baking 3 years ago, and now you're going to this national competition.
It's crazy.
Tell us the backstory, because there's a lot of ground to cover here.
There is.
You've been busy in the last 3 years, girl.
It's been such a quick and rapid progression with the business. But yeah, it started actually pre-pandemic, before sourdough was all the rage. And I was baking sourdough and trying it out and trying to get better at it. And as I did, I started giving it away to friends off my front porch. And it got more and more popular and just kept getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, we had to move out of the house because that wasn't working, and we started renting a church kitchen.
And then you opened your own bakery.
And then we opened our own bakery downtown.
Which is so exciting.
It's been awesome.
And you've brought some of your special breads here.
I have. I brought the breads that we're bringing.
Yeah.
So I brought a classic sourdough, which is this one right here. And then I brought our Scarborough Fare, which is a roasted garlic sourdough, and it's layered with parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And then just for good measure, I brought some baguettes.
Yes. All right, so walk us through what it takes to make a good sourdough, because I feel like everybody and their moms, my mom included, has gotten on the sourdough bread craze.
It is. It's been a really fun thing to see it happening. You have to have a good starter, and your starter is a wild yeast starter. It doesn't use commercial yeast like the powdered stuff that you get in the grocery store.
And you have to feed it.
You do. You have to feed it like an animal.
Yeah, just like a pet.
Yes.
You need to.
We feed our starter every day. We have 32 quarts of it at our bakery that are going at all times. And we just have to keep it growing so that when we put it into the bread, it turns into sourdough bread. Our classic sourdough has flour, water, and salt in it. So if it didn't have that starter, it wouldn't do what it does.
Absolutely. All right. So talk us through how you evolved into baking, because you started 3 years ago, but what was it 3 years ago that said, you know what, I'm just going to start this and see where it goes?
It was a visit to King Arthur up in Vermont.
Really? The flour company?
Yes, the flour company. We still use all King Arthur flour. We love it.
Open this oil that you make right here.
And it just inspired me to want to try King Arthur bread and to make sourdough, so I started practicing with it. I was terrible at first, but I kept making more and more, and off we went.
And so what are some tips for folks who want to get involved and want to start it, but they're like, you know what, I don't know, I'm not really a baker, so to speak.
I mean, it's not as hard as you would think. I think finding a recipe that sticks well for you is great, and just trying to pay attention to your starter and making sure that you use it at the right times is a good thing. And then, of course, it's always high quality ingredients.
Now tell me, because you have to feed it, can you overfeed a sourdough?
You can overfeed it. You can feed it with too much water or too much flour, and then the hydration percentage in the sourdough goes off. If the hydration is off, then you don't get the same type of bread.
What does it mean? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
This is delicious, by the way.
Thank you.
I love the oil. It's got some rosemary in it.
Rosemary oil. We make that in-house as well.
Bread oil.
Yes.
Now, what does it mean to you to be invited to this national competition? You've come so far in such a short amount of time.
It's an incredible honor, because I mean, these are people who have been baking for their entire lives. Some of them, family bakeries, and the fact that I'm even being considered to be part of this group is beyond an honor. It's incredible, and it's just going to be an amazing experience.
So who's going with you?
My dad.
Oh, that's us. I love that.
My parents came back up to help me run the bakery when we opened it, and he's been part of it. Did they move down
to Florida?
They were in Florida, and now they're back in Connecticut. So
you brought them home.
I brought them back.
I love it. It's such a great story.
It's been awesome.
So how could people sort of follow along on your progress?
So we're super active on social media, so I definitely suggest following us on Facebook. But both of our locations are open in Hebron. So we have a bakery is open Thursday to Sunday. Our cafe is open Tuesday to Sunday. We bake all of our breads fresh, and then we bring them to the cafe to use for sandwiches. And it's great, except for this Sunday, of course, because we'll be in Las Vegas.
We're going to be in Las Vegas, right, hoping to win this national competition.
Right.
Now, one more bit of advice before we leave. If someone is going to start, never baked a loaf of bread, before in their lives. That's me. Where would we start? Where do I start?
I
What's,
wouldn't start
the
with
easiest-
sourdough.
Right. So where would I start?
You would start with like a yeast-based bread. I would
Okay.
start with something like a sweet dinner roll, something where you use,
Okay.
warm milk and some sugar and some yeast, and you get a pretty good product out of it. It's just a lot of patience with
Yeah.
breads. You
Yeah.
you can't rush them. They rise on their own time.
And if it's bad, it's really bad,
If
right?
it's bad, then it falls very flat.
It does. All right. Thanks so much for being with us and sharing this story.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
We're going to be cheering you on, of course.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll catch up with you after the fact as
I know,
well.
right? If I place or something, then we can come back and talk all about it.
And we'll be following along
Thank
on
you.
social media. Thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us. This is great.